Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the hiatus. Since we are not getting another Power Rangers episode this week, I figured, you know what? Let's review the Power Ranger Beast Morphers Season 2 and what I think they could do for this season coming up. The first thing I want to point out is that overall, I thought the season was pretty solid. I mean, what you had every episode was that either it was they defeated Scrozzle or they defeated Evox in some way, and then the characters really, they progressed a little bit because every episode felt like a filler, whereas like the Rangers had to learn some form of a lesson. Now, what lesson that might be? Well, in episode 4, it was about Ravi shouldn't be lying to his mother, even though it was pretty much a good reason to, because the commander was ashamed of people who were doing art. Then we saw, obviously, with the mid-season finale, where we saw Zoe and Nate, they were trying to date each other, and they were proving that that rule that the commander put in there, why Rangers shouldn't be dating each other, was a stupid rule. Then we have another rule, with Steel basically trying to learn discipline, and really, I don't think they should keep doing that, because yes, it is a kid's show, but the thing is, I just do not think that with it being a Power Ranger season, to me, really, like, do we need to have all of the lessons, the morals of the day kind of thing? Really, no, because I think it's like, we could be doing something different where it's like, we could be building towards, you know, obviously we got the Evox revealing himself as Mayor Daniels. We could have built up to that. We could have seen some more weapons which were introduced. But the thing is that the morals of the day took more of a focus during those episodes. And so, for example, when Nate was revealing that he had the Beast-X bow, we had 2 morals in one episode, and I'm like, why? Like, 1 moral per episode is fine if you're going to use a filler, but when you have 2 at the same time, it makes it confusing as to what's going where and how to keep up with anything. And so, one thing that I thought that they could easily improve on is have some episodes be filler, kind of like last season. Last season we saw where some episodes had some action stuff in it. It progressed to what we were going towards the next episode, but then they also had some filler episodes where it was just they do something and then that's all they do. It's kind of like how Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was, because they progressed a good bit, but then there were some episodes that were pretty much filler. Like, it really didn't progress towards anything. It basically just gave them something to do. But I don't mind that. It's just sometimes I would rather have some more progression towards what we're doing rather than having this whole, oh, in today's lesson, Devin is going to learn why you shouldn't cheat on somebody. Or Zoe is going to learn the reasons why sometimes it's nice to be tough to people instead of being nice all the time. You know, like, all of those stuff is fine, but really, I kind of want to see more action towards what we are progressing towards with everything. So then I want to also talk about the characters. The characters themselves, really, they really aren't like bad at all. I mean, when you look at Devin as a Red Ranger, he's not the greatest Ranger, but the thing is that I actually like Devin. I mean, he does prove himself to be a leader. He does prove to be somewhat of a good leader, and yes, he also does the morals of the week thing. And when we saw the last segment of the mid-season finale where we saw Mayor Daniels being revealed, it did show some emotion and some shock that the Rangers, including Devin, had no idea that Evox was pretending to be Mayor Daniels. And so the emotion shown there by Devin, I think what really makes Devin stand out and keeps him from being a bad Ranger is that he shows some emotion. I mean, this is what we lacked in Troy so much. Troy really did not show much emotion at all. Devin, on the other hand, he can convey that emotion. When he's angry at somebody, when he's disappointed at somebody, you can see it. You can basically feel it from him. And so I really like what they are doing with Devin. In fact, if I had to rate Devin alone as a Red Ranger, I'd give him a 4 out of 5. And the reason it's not a 5 out of 5 is because he's not on the ranks as Andros or Wes or Rangers like that. But I do think he is worthy of being a 4 out of 5. Then we move on to Ravi. Ravi has this whole dynamic where he was in love with Roxy this whole time, and he was pretty much fighting so that a way he can defeat the Avatar so they can get human Roxy back. And we will talk about human Blaze and Roxy and what I think they should do with them. So basically with Ravi, you have this whole dynamic of, okay, he really doesn't want to be a Red Ranger, but sometimes it does show that he could be a good secondary leader if Devin ever fell down. But what I like about Ravi is that he really doesn't come off as, oh, he should have been the leader for Power Rangers. But what we do see is we kind of see, kind of like Sky from Power Rangers SPD, except Sky was trying to prove that he should have been the Red Ranger. Ravi, on the other hand, is pretty much fine with being the Blue Ranger. I mean, he really doesn't contest Devin a lot of why Ravi should be the Red Ranger, since Ravi was there first, and pretty much Ravi was always choosing to be the Blue Ranger. And so, because of that, I really like what Ravi is doing. And I think what I think they should do more is have Human Roxy versus Avatar Roxy fight each other. That's one thing I really want to see from the Human Blaze and Roxy, is them two fight each other in some way. Now, how they pull this off, it's going to be a little tricky, but I really wish they would do more with Human Blaze and Roxy, since, well, they're freed from being avatars. Now, speaking of Zoe I think is a fine Yellow Ranger. Zoe really comes off as a more like an above average Yellow Ranger. Like, the Yellow Ranger is always nice. The Yellow Ranger is always, you know, helpful towards the team. She's always this cool Ranger we see with the usual Yellow Rangers. But what I like about Zoe is that the way she conveys emotion, just like Devin, I mean, I really like what they do with her. I mean, when she's sorry about doing something, she shows it. When she's happy about doing something, she shows that. And so I like Zoe so much because of the fact that she conveys emotion so well. And it kind of puts her ahead of the other Yellow Rangers, like Emily from Power Rangers Samurai. She was this nice going Yellow Ranger. I mean, she wasn't terrible, but the thing with Emily is that when she was sad, when she was fighting for something, she kind of showed that, but I think Zoe goes above and beyond to do that, and so that's why I like Zoe as well. Then we have Nate. Nate is the laboratory guy who is the Gold Ranger. Honestly, you know, I don't find any problems with Nate. Obviously, he's the nerd of the group. He reminds me of Cam from Power Rangers Ninja Storm in the fact that no one ever expected Nate to be a Ranger until he becomes a Ranger, and then when they do, instead of them being all, wait a second, why is he a Ranger? We get to see Nate progress to being a good Gold Ranger and having Steel as his sidekick, kind of what we saw in Go Busters. I really like the fact that they kept that, because it does give Nate something else to do besides, oh, let me go make this new morpher for Beast Morphers, or let me go make this new weapon for Beast Morphers, even though that is a cool thing that he is doing. So then we move on to Steel. He's pretty much the Green Ranger for Power Rangers, because all the Green Rangers have ever been are, they're either not really caring about being in command, but they're also the comedy-ish of the group. Like, they're pretty much the class clown of the group. And then we'll get into Ben and Betty in a little bit. Steel, I think, is pretty much the best Ranger in Power Rangers, because one, he's a comedy guy. He likes to crack jokes here and there. He's also progressing as a Ranger, and I've heard this so many times from Power Ranger fans, and it's true. And that is, Steel brings a lot of fun to Power Rangers, because yes, the other Rangers are cool and whatnot, but honestly, like, when you look at what Steel has done, Steel, one, has been the comedy of the group. Two, he's been a good sidekick to Nate, and Steel has been pretty actively involved in majority of these filler episodes. Like, had they not had Steel, they probably obviously would have had different filler episodes, but Steel, like, there's just something about Steel that I like, and it really makes Beast Morphers stand out as well. Then we get Ben and Betty. Ben and Betty, look, they're not the worst comedy group. They're way better than what we got with Ninja Steel, those comedy guru guys, what you call them. And really, honestly, Ben and Betty are not the worst comedy group I've seen. I mean, yes, some of their comedy is a little much, but honestly, like, if I could rank all of the comedy sidekick groups, I would give Ben and Betty a 3.5 out of 5. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not like the funniest. Like, they're not the Bulk and Skull of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. They are pretty much like, you know, your standard comedy group. Nothing too bad. It kind of feels like a Mystic Force kind of feel to comedy, because Ben and Betty, yes, they always have that one spot every episode where they do something wacky, and they know who the Rangers are, so it's different than what we've seen with Bulk and Skull, where at least Ben and Betty know who the Rangers are, and Ben and Betty sometimes gets involved with the Rangers. It's just here and there. I'm really hoping that we do see an extra Ranger come to Power Rangers, even though it's kind of unlikely, but I really wish they would adapt the Green Ranger and Black Ranger, so that way Ben and Betty could in some way become Rangers. Now, whether they stay Rangers for too long, I doubt it, but just if we can get the Green and Black Ranger from Power Rangers, if we can get it from those movie and Go Busters, that would be amazing. Overall, I thought this season was not terrible, but I think it could do a little bit more. In fact, I would cut down on some of the filler episodes. Like, if we come back and there's like 15, 20 episodes in the rest of the season, I would limit the filler episodes to like 7 or 8 and let the rest of them be progression, because it's one thing to have some filler episodes and then some progression, but when the majority of the episodes so far have been filler, it's like, what's the point of all these episodes if they're all filler and they don't progress to a whole lot? So overall, the grade I would give Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2, pretty much a 3.5 out of 5, alright? It's not the worst season, but it's definitely not as good as Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 1. And if you want to see my last review of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, it's showing here on the screen and also in the cards up here. And until next time, I'm Andrew Michael, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thumbs up.